Welcome back, everyone. I am joined here by Xiaohu from the victorious RNG after their first win of the tournament over Fnatic. Xiaohu, how important is it for RNG to get that first win starting off MSI?
第一个问题，拿到第一个首胜对你们来说有多重要呢？在这个 MSI。
因为基本上所有比赛的第一场比赛就是很能鼓舞队伍的事情嘛。我觉得我们拿这次首胜的话，后边的比赛应该都会比较顺利吧。
So winning the first match is always really inspirational for the team. So getting the first victory, maybe they have a better luck, better chance in the following games.
And it was a very interesting game. Fnatic had a super risky and interesting draft with Yasuo in the mid lane. What did you think of the composition and how were you able to win against it?
第一场比赛的 BP 特别有意思嘛，然后他们选了一个很疯狂的阵容，有亚索啊这些。然后你觉得他们的第一场选的阵容怎么样？看他。
亚索加巨魔的话，觉得确实是一个比较好针对中路的组合吧。然后我也是因为太久没有碰到亚索这个组合了嘛，就打的时候有点尴尬，然后就下次的话应该就不会出现这种情况了。
So Toronto and Yasuo is a really good comp to play against the mid laner. And he didn't have a lot of experience facing Yasuo and the Toronto comp. So the first time around, he looks a bit awkward, and a little bit embarrassed. Hopefully he gets better in the following tournament.
Well, nothing to be embarrassed about. You guys still won the game. Now you guys come off a fantastic run in the LPL playoffs, winning it in the end, and now you're at MSI. If you look at all the teams here, what do you think of your chances in this tournament?
就是你们这季后赛整个过程都非常不容易，然后有个很棒的在 LPL 拿到了冠军。那么你觉得这次在 MSI 你们的机会有多少？
我觉得我们现在队伍就需要进步的地方还很多吧。现在的话，如果非要说现在有几成拿到机会的话，应该就不到5成吧。
So they think they still have a lot of things to work on, a lot of places they can improve. So right now, if you have to guess, their chance of winning this MSI is probably less than 50%.
Okay, well, we'll see how it evolves. Congratulations on your first win. Thank you very much.
Cox, and welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Zone. Hearing from Xiaohu there that the Trundle Yasuo composition caught him a little off guard there, playing in the mid lane.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of Yasuo players. I mean, Rookie stands out.
We don't have that many Yasuo players in Europe.
Right.
It's just Cap, something he brought out for this tournament. He's been playing it a lot in solo queue. And to be fair, I think it's something that teams will have to respect moving forward.
Now, Champ Select continues to become interesting here at MSI. Our next matchup, though, features the two teams that qualified through the play-in stage, Evos Esports and Flash Wolves. While we've already seen these teams at MSI, let's go ahead and remind everyone how they got here.
Yeah, we have to say that Evos beat the Gigabyte Marines in the VCS, so that's why they're not here. And Evos was the best team in that regular season. They went 12-2, they won the finals 3-2, and then they also won their play-in knockout stage match. So they very much earned that spot here, and now you got to see if there's multiple quality teams for Vietnam that can make a mark in the international stage, because Gigabyte Marines showed the region proud last year.
Now, likewise, Flash Wolves, the only team here returning to the MSI stage from last year. Of course, some notable missing members in Karsa, of course, but still Sword Art and Maple remaining.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the fact that they slotted in these two new Wolves into a system that has already been so dominant for so long in the LMS. Flash Wolves did stumble on earlier into their split, but they figured it out, and it's about going towards that bot lane. Yes, we talk about all of these incredible AD carries at the tournament, but Betty is no slouch in the LMS. He's considered one of their top-tier talents, and the Flash Wolves have a ton of respect to play into him, especially when he has a star like Sword Art standing next to him.
And that's why we have a bit of an interesting matchup here between these two teams, because while we do see a lot of Maple and Mujin playing towards the bot side, we actually see a lot of top side focus from the side of Evos. And that's why the matchup between the two junglers is what interests me the most, because Yijim, he had a phenomenal performance in the play-ins in that best of 5. And when you go up against Mujin, who is this rookie, who is replacing Karsa, it just leaves this really interesting dynamic as to where their attention will lie in this game.
I mean, both Yijin and Mujin won Player of the Series just a couple of days ago, so that's going to be really interesting to track, especially where they decide to show their attention, whether or not it's Stark in the top lane, and how Flash Wolves can deal with that.
I mean, ultimately, I agree with you guys. I think, again, the breaking point will start in the jungle, but I just think Warzone comparatively to Maple, this is not Maple of last year. Maple is back into form, and he is such a powerhouse. I think it's just going to be too hard for Evos to deal with it.
Our two play-in teams looking to start off the group stage on the right foot with a victory. So let's go ahead and see which team starts that group stage with a win as we leave it to Quickshot, Azael, and Officio.
Thank you very much, Dash. Before we get into the game, let's welcome the teams to the stage, starting on the blue side with Evos from the VCS. Evos, of course, qualifying from the play-in stage, surprising many for how good they looked in the playoffs, the knockout round. In the top lane, it's Stark. Jungle Yijin. Warzone in the mid. ADC Slay. Support Ron OP. Their coach Violet. And substitute top Beyond. Their opponents from the LMS, it's the Flash Wolves. In the top lane, Hanabi. In the jungle, Mujin. In the mid lane, Maple. ADC, Betty. Their support, Sword Art. Coach Warhorse. And their substitute jungler, Morning. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Evos versus Flash Wolves. Gentlemen, now that the hype has suitably been raised, let's turn our attention to picks and bans. Let's turn our attention to what could be termed the play-in finals.
It has been.
Has been?
It is
I know,
so.
Zale, you're a fan of that title, but it's fun to see two teams that smash the play-in representatives that made it from group stage. Of course, VCS and LMS were seeded into that knockout round, and now we get to see them go head-to-head.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when you're watching play and we're watching some of these teams, there can be such differences in strength between the different regions, and it's hard to really tell of these teams that beat the winners of different groups who is stronger, right? And a lot of people, I think, are underestimating these teams. Weren't expecting Evos to even beat Supermassive.
Well, I heard some
coming out of that
3-0
play-in.
predictions.
I think
and
everyone
everything.
was predicting
That
3-0.
analyst
It seems
desk
like
got
on the AD.
schooled.
Yeah, they were so wrong. And watching from home, I was actually very happy to see Evos play this again, a very aggressive play style. It's not the Gigabyte Marines, so don't expect 5 surprise picks and crazy in-game strategies every single game. They can actually pick very, very standard, but it's still very fast-paced in how they fight, and that obviously comes down to how the solo queue is back in Vietnam and how it is for a lot of the teams in that region.
And their competitive league as well. They've far and away the most kill-heavy league. They like to fight often, they like to fight a lot, and even though Evos don't technically rank highly in their league, it is still very high amongst competitors here.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. You know, everyone talks about LPL as the bloodiest region. This makes the LPL look like the LCK. I mean, CCS is the fastest games, the most bloody games, the most turrets taken early, the most kills early, and they are definitely a very action-packed region, and we got to see kind of a preview of that, when they were going up against Supermassive.
Yes,
and,
we did.
Definitely was really impressed by Yijin, his Graves performances, getting insanely ahead.
Yeah, you do not need wards if you can just kill the people on the enemy team,
Yes.
because then they're obviously just in base, they're dead. You don't have to actually find them anywhere else on the map. And I think Evos will get punished a little bit for lacking in vision and maybe always kind of planning what objective
Will
to play
Flash
for.
Wolves be the team to punish them today?
I think early and mid game they could when
Okay.
it comes to especially the vision part.
Such a safe statement,
Very
Officio.
safe,
So
very
safe.
yeah. Either team could win. It might be a 3-2, but it'll be interesting because I think it's such a clash of styles, right? It's one of those things where we have, Evos who likes to play so heavily around Stark in the top side of the map, where most teams are playing around bottom lane, and that has been more kind of the style that Flash Wolves is bringing out.
And you guys talked about Graves. Flash Wolves, they watched the games and said, I wonder what should we ban here. Oh, wait a minute. That guy just solo carried on Graves 2 games in a row. It is now removed, of course. Eugene was so fantastic on it. They're in the play-ins. For Flash Wolves, though, the fact that they also will actually rely a lot now on Betty means they actually fit kind of the style of a lot of the other teams coming into this tournament, where the bot lane is where you really want to focus your attention. And let's see if they can get him a good matchup.
I'm excited to see if Evo's style can surprise or catch people off guard, because if 5 of the 6 teams are trending towards this meta style of AD carries, maybe Stark and Yijin can pull off some surprises, and this is the first of many battles where they can prove it.
It could also be very interesting to see if any of the teams want to adapt their style to try to counteract what Evos is doing, because while it was effective for a lot of their split to play so heavily through Stark, it's so obvious often what they are doing because they are constantly going back up to the top side. That you can sometimes be there to counter gank, be there to turn that around. But we also did see Stark, playing tanks, being able to be a bit more flexible and kind of them playing a bit more through Slay.
See, I don't think a lot of teams will first pick Kha'Zix right now, but we're seeing it right here after we saw the Graves ban coming in from Flash Wolves, and I think it's Evo simply saying, we believe Yijin is going to be our big carry. He is going to be the one who needs to snowball. Kha'Zix is one of the picks you can do it on as an assassin jungler on his side, and it's a lot invested with the first pick going towards him.
And of course on the counter, it is the Varus locked in, something that we've talked quite a lot about and saw, sparingly over the last few weeks, but with Kai'Sa removed from the table, gonna lock in that Varus.
I mean, Varus does have very strong crowd control, has an incredibly strong one-item power spike, all the Rage Blade users generally do, and can lane up well against almost every single AD carry. So I think there's a lot of consistency and a lot of strength in these first two picks.
And I really like that Varus is one of the best AD carries to play around. If you want to actually gank a lane, give him level 6. He has a CC ultimate that can lock down more than even just one member, and it's so easy with his burst damage coming in as well to just secure these kills. So it's a great pick for Betty. He's played it a ton during the split, and it also will allow Sword Art, if they get ahead, to start roaming, and that's going to be one of the big stories for us to follow in this game.
This Gangplank would be very nice though here for Hanabi. It was actually his second most played throughout the split. Stark going back to a tank. Theoretically, there could be some crazy flex, but we're expecting Orin to go topside. We're not expecting then Stark to be on a carry, and I just think that GP is so incredibly strong into those tank matchups.
Yeah.
You can play it a little bit more for laning with Grasp, or you can simply go for Klepto and farm off of them.
And then you shoot that ulti down to the bottom lane again, and Betty once again gets an advantage on his side. I think Evos could try and punish the Gangplank top lane. Like, Ornn is fairly effective at setting up tower dives, and Kha'Zix's damage will be very important there, but it's not easy to execute for Evos.
And you can already see how incredibly strong the level 6 of Flash Wolves is here. When you're looking at that bottom side, when you're talking about the Chains of Corruption, you have the Skarner ultimate. GP ultimate drops that down, you get slowed up, you get Skarner ulted, you get Varus ulted. That is ridiculously powerful, especially if Flash Wolves wants to draft something like a support with CC, a playmaker for Sword Art, who has been so good on them.
Well, what does Maple want to draft? We talked a lot about the top and the bottom lane. Ryze is already locked in for Warzone. I'm seeing Karma, Azir taken off the table. So where else does he go?
That's going to be a good question if you want something where he can roam down towards bot lane as well. And just as we highlight that, he hovers the Talia, at least was nerfed a little bit more coming into this, but I think some mid laners will still feel okay playing her. You just need to remind yourself that you're not playing for your own lane. You're very much playing just to roam and be important in other lanes.
And that's what really every pick is saying for the Flash Wolves. So it makes,
bot lane, bot lane, bot lane.
Makes a lot of sense. And they're kind of challenging Evos here, and Yijin in particular, to be able to adapt their playstyle to that, to be able to match the pressure in the bottom side. And Tahm Kench, I think, is a fantastic support to pick against this sort of style. When you have all these heavy CC level 6 ultimates, Tahm Kench can save you from that.
But sadly, then Tahm Kench cannot stop you from perma-pushing you under the turret. Morgana, if she gets locked in, clicks W on the wave. Varus has 2 abilities that can kill the minions as well. And then you can just perma-shove this lane into the turret. And if you ever get ganked, there's going to be Talia flying down. There's going to be GP ultis coming in. Like, Flash Rules, it's not about Mabel. There's no Kai'Sa anymore. It's about the bot lane winning. And this draft is literally screaming, we want our bot lane to win.
What do we think of the Kog'Maw pick into that? Because while the top
He saw Uzi do it. He's like, I got it.
Right. I just get nervous when I see that low mobility, no escape ADC into this type of draft.
So
it's risky.
It is. And what I will say is I think it's high risk, high reward, because there is not really a true pure tank on Flash Wolves' team. Yes, there is a Skarner, but generally speaking, it's not going to be ultra tanky. If you can protect the Kog'Maw with this Ornn, with this Tahm Kench in front of him, he can shred through most of the members there on Flash Wolves, but it's going to be down to Yijin creating pressure with this early Kha'Zix pick, getting his tanks ahead, especially if you can pick on that Gangplank on the top side of the map, get your Ornn ahead. That's the engage you need. That's the front line that can enable this Kog'Maw to take over.
And if he wants to go mid lane, there should be a cleanse from Mabel. He's sitting on it right now, and I believe it's going to be the same when he loads into the game. Just make it a little bit harder, but that could be the other one. Like, generally, you want to gank solo laners as a Kha'Zix, and when you first pick this jungler for him, you're very much setting him up to succeed, but can he do it alone against what is a very well-built composition from Flash Wolves that is setting Betty up to carry?
Oh, which direction does Yijin go? What lane? What plays can Yijin make? Because against Supermassive, he was there. He was able to respond and was able to show up. Just earlier this week, Evos and Flash Wolves eliminated Supermassive and Gambit respectively. Now we get to see them face off at least twice here in the group stage of MSI, and it is the final of that play-ins, is what we'll call it. Could be a draw, could split 1-1. You're an EU after all, and you know how we love our ties.
Yeah, it's really unfair when you think about the tournament format, you know? It is 2 games in the group stage. EU is the only people that have practiced those BO2s.
Exactly.
I talked about those play-ins, by the way. We take a look at the kills per minute and kills per game. 16 during the play-in series and 14.3. I don't know if it's going to be quite as dramatic today, though I do hope that it will be.
It all depends on their jungler in this game. I think they want to play that way. They're used to playing with a lot of fights because they get forced on you in Vietnam. You don't have a choice. You can't just sit and play super slow in that region. So they're used to going toe-to-toe, but I think Flash Wolves on their side, like they have some of the picks that can challenge in early skirmishes, and also they have been playing a split in the LMS where there's been a lot of Korean imports coming in. There's been a lot of other teams trying to challenge in terms of just pure mechanics, and that's kind of what Evos is going to bring in this game here.
And Flash Wolves really has kind of stood the test of time in their region. You know, AHQ has been gone. Oh, Ron OP.
Oh, definitely not the most OP of moves. Summoner Heal already used, Flash blown.
But he could run away.
That lane was going to be difficult already, and now it gets even more difficult. But we're not done yet. Well, we're going to talk about a lot of combined kills per minute, setting up for potential. As finally, Mujin's going to back away.
Yeah, Mujin will back away, and it's kind of funny because it ends up actually putting Mujin a little bit behind the Kha'Zix because he's going to start, you know, leashless blue, and yes, of course, Skarner can do that, no problem, but we'll be a little bit behind. The bottom lane, though, is the beneficiaries of this. This is a flashless Tahm Kench that you can maybe look to pressure a bit harder.
I want to bring us back to that Flash Wolves point we're talking about. Flash Wolves, they've dominated their region. They lost Casa. Casa sorted out the big history, but look at these stats, guys. First in gold at 15, highest Drake percentage, highest Baron percentage, largest time with the major lead. It's insane how dominant this team has been for how long.
Yeah, it's just crazy that it can always do it. Let's see what happens around here. Yijin is very low.
Oh, we're going to force the flash.
All right, but that was the guy we were talking about needed to snowball and get really far ahead. That's obviously not a good start. Mabel just finds him. But going back to that point about, you know, Flash Wolves dominating in the LMS, like a lot of the teams have made changes back in that region. Like AHQ is effectively gone at the moment, not even getting to the final as we've seen so often in the past. And the fact that Flash Wolves have been able to keep at least 2 members of the old core in Sword Art and Mabel is huge for them to just create this stable environment for some of the newer players to step up.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, the landscape of the LMS is changing, right? You know, you mentioned AHQ kind of falling off, but J-Team did not have a strong year. It was G-Rex and Flash Wolves essentially at the top, and despite the fact that Flash Wolves has a couple of these rookies on their team, they're able to perform. They're able to dominate their region again. Those statistics are by far the best in the tournament, but the question has to become, can you put on that kind of a show against the top teams from the rest of the world? And that's what they are looking to prove here.
Well, we're going to have to find out because, of course, the last time we saw Flash Wolves internationally, they went 1-5 in World Group Stage last year. It was a very disappointing performance. And as it stands, some shenanigans in the early game has not really resulted in a whole lot yet. But this is where Yijin starts to wake up, got access to at least his core abilities, and he's a bit of a crazy jungler.
Yeah, he's effectively the guy you'd look at. Before it was Levi with Gigabyte Marines, SOFM has also been one of the famous junglers coming from that region. But Yijin specifically, I think, is he's not as smart in the way he plays. He's just extremely aggressive, and he's just mechanically very gifted. So he knows when he can take a fight and win it. But he oftentimes can show up kind of randomly. You know, like, oh, here you should be bot lane and doing something. Nah, he's top lane fighting the enemy jungler. And it is a very risky playstyle, but if it works, then he takes over the game.
Best part is they can't know where you're going to be if you don't know where you're going to be.
That's the key, man.
You
Now
can't
he's going to
prepare
gank mid
for it. I
lane.
mean, look at this. Like, I know CSD is a bit of an awkward one, but plus 29 from the playing stages. Pretty impressive stats here. And Mujin's going to have to try and figure out, like, how do you predict, how do you anticipate what Yujin can do when Kha'Zix can be anywhere? Once he gets that stealth, once he gets the ability to leap, the junglers are going to at least see each other for now.
Yeah, and losing the early flash honestly does hurt him so much because it makes it so terrifying to ever kind of run into the Skarner. And Flash Wolves wants to essentially have a no-action game until 6.
Yep.
Once you have your ultimates, you're going to feel so good to fight. So the fact that they force those early flashes, you may say, oh, well, that's not a kill, it's not that big of a deal. That actually completely dismantled the early game.
And you can see how Yujin's under pressure. What? Whoa! What was that?
Hey, I said it was random stuff happening from Yujin.
He never left. He had like 1 HP.
He was being killed by the chickens and then donated it to
I mean, his
Mugen.
smite was
Oh, no.
almost ready. I think he was going to use it, but now bot lane.
Well, take a look for the crystal slashes. Manages to get a 2-man stun. Devour comes up by Ron OP, but it simply does not matter. Seismic shove! Manages to pick up the kill, and that's 2 more for Flash Wolves.
Hey, Sale, I thought you said level 6.
Yeah.
Turns out you don't need level 6.
No, you don't when the enemy jungler is effectively killing himself on the Raptor camp and you're standing right next to him as a jungler. You walk in, you kill him, and that set up the easiest roam to the bottom lane. This was not supposed to happen. It's 100% correct. Wait for level 6 normally with Talia, Skarner. They just got gifted 3 kills.
He is flashless. He sees the opposing jungler there. He is down about 10% HP, decides not to retreat. And then look at the flash. Still not back up here for Ron OP from the start, so no chance of escaping from him. And just a beautiful roam down from Maple gets them a massive lead. A 6-minute 2K plus lead for them. And they didn't even have to expend the ultimates. They weren't even at level 6. When they hit level 6 now, those repeat ganks become that much easier.
Well, Stark's going to find himself under some pressure. Very big minion wave to contest with. Already flashing forward. Take a look at the minimap. Maple's making his way up. Stark has already used Core of the Forge God, and another kill donated to Maple.
So another roam from Flash Wolves. They get another kill, and just to make it even worse, whenever we see them get kills, they also manage to get flashes. That now makes it even easier. You have soon Devour's ulti. That's a very easy skill shot to land on a no-flash target. You're gonna have Mabel coming down behind them with walls. Skarner ultis, like, no flashes makes it just impossible to survive the next few ganks, and you've already died when you had the flash.
And that's why it's so important to be able to analyze those situations and say, okay, yep, I'm dead. Like, that sucks, but there's no getting out of this. Accept your death. Move on, have your flash, because those repeat ganks become so ridiculously powerful. And luckily, though, for Evos, at least the flash is up for Ron OP, and because he's running Spellbook, he swapped over to Cleanse. So he can essentially be the QSS and flash for Slay, because he can flash him out of there.
Zale, I believed you. I believed you so well. The glass is half full, and there's always a silver lining.
There you go.
But the team is still down. They need 2,500 gold at 7 minutes. Let's see how useful that Flash Cleanse can be for Ron OP when the engage happens. Because Flash Wolves, they're definitely looking comfortable already.
Saying it's useful is not the same thing as saying it's enough.
Touche.
Let's just going on the record with that, but...
I accept. I apologize.
Yeah.
I made fun of you too quickly on that one.
That's okay.
All right. Let's see if Yujin can do anything. Rough start to the games, fair to say. Mujin has been part of every kill in the side of Flash Wolves, and one of them was, of course, on the Kha'Zix itself, which set up the next dive. So
where would he go?
Where would he go right now? Let's see if he can do anything mid. No, that's Flash and Cleanse. That's not going to happen.
I think you still have to look top. GP doesn't have his ultimate. Orin can set up dives, I think, fairly well.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do think that is really the only kind of option that he has right now is trying to set up some sort of a dive on this GP, try to utilize that to get pressure in the top side, and then look for Stark to make a play with his teleport elsewhere on the map, and you have to look kind of a couple steps ahead.
Right, and normally as a Kha'Zix, it's not bad if you're just farming and getting fairly strong towards the mid game when you can be really good at abusing people in side lanes, but he's forced to try and do something because his team is just getting destroyed at the moment, and he's top as ale.
There we go. Call of the Forge God comes out.
Nice
Flash away by Hanabi. Yujin going to jump in with Taste of Fear. Not enough damage yet. Looking to reset the tower aggro. Going underneath. That's the first one secured, and Stark will just escape with his life.
All right there, we saw Mabel and Mujin move down to the bottom side, and Evos bot lane, very smart. They just backed away instead. They're doing it again. Ron OP and Slay. It's important to just staying safe because they need to get some gold here, and it's going to be top lane turret.
They could, yeah, they can trade for that because this is no TP on Hanabi. He could drop his ultimate to try to clear some of those waves, but the turret is likely going down. We'll see if they are able to actually stay around and finish it. I mean, GP ultimate might be enough.
Oh, it's gone. Tower first blood picked up by Flash Wolves as well. And the tower doesn't even die in the top lane.
GP ulti too strong right here. Mabel fighting in the mid lane as well, but Warzone. Oh!
He's gonna go in.
Nice.
Does he take the realm up? Yes, he does. Into the rune prison. The cleanse comes out. 35, not enough. The auto's not gonna kill either. Warzone and Mabel trading blow for blow, but Mabel kept his teeth.
Still great play from Warzone in the mid lane. They're trying to get that kill. It will force Mabel back. Sadly for Warzone, he might get ganked now.
All right, he's got no flash. He's got no heal. He's got no
Piece
ultimate.
here.
Ron OP's got flash and cleanse though. Not gonna jump in for the save. Instead, he's like, sorry, bro, your fault, and he lets Warzone die.
Learn from earlier. Don't waste your flash. The guy's already dead.
Yeah, even if you eat him up, there's so much CC available. Morgana ultimate, Skarner ultimate, everything is still there. So just a nice play from Betty. Good roam up and gonna be able to punish.
10-minute Luden's Echo for Maple. That's gonna hurt a lot for anybody on the side of Evos.
What about 10-minute rage plate?
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually way worse, I think.
Yeah.
Plus 20 CS, Tower First Blood. Maple hits, I think, all 5 of those threaded volleys. Slay uses Summoner Heal. Seismic Shove will force the flash. And Maple gonna be very happy with his bottom lane and how this whole game is played out. 4,000 gold already.
And someone's gonna have to call PETA some abuse on the bottom side of the map here.
Oh man, we're gonna set some expectations now, by the way, gentlemen. The largest gold lead from the play-in stage was Supermassive versus Kaboom. It was 8.7 thousand gold at 15 minutes. We'll see whether or not Flash Wolves can extend. They're currently at 4,200 up. They've got 4 minutes to try to break that record.
Well, the good thing here for Evos is the fact that the main ultis are on cooldown from Flash Wolves. So they got a good 30 seconds to at least not having to fear the GP and the Varus ult. However, there is a flash engage from Skarner, and there is currently no flash from Warzone in the mid lane. He will soon be the target if he stays around, and Flash Wolves can push in now for this turret.
And I think Flash Wolves is playing this so intelligently. Don't leave Hanabi in a side lane when he has no flash, when he has no ult, when he is vulnerable to be repeat ganked. Instead, they just group up and siege down a turret. So that is their one weakness right now, and it can't be exploited.
And again, this is a very standard Flash Wolves kind of game where we talked about this in Champions League. It's all about the bot lane. Get them fed. Oh, he's going.
Yeah, there we go. Flash into Impale. Please continue. Standard Flash Wolves game.
So get the bot lane rolling. You can leave the top lane alone. He did, of course, die once, but the turret is still alive due to the GP ult. And the fact that Betty's now on this early rage blade, Mabel's been getting a ton of kills on the today, it's just absolutely perfect for them. They should be able to get the Rift Herald. And I don't think Evos can do absolutely anything. Oh, they're trying though.
Oh, let's take a look. Eugene looking for Betty and Sword Art. Slay's coming into the help of a teleport by Stock. Now Maple is in the river already, and that's just gone horribly wrong. Eugene is killed before he can get into the fight. Rift Herald is picked up on the back end of that, and Hanabi will bounce those barrels to push this wave in even further.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rough one, but they're trying to play to win. They know they're so far behind. They know they need to make a play. It didn't work, though. Mugen is coming in from behind with the flank here.
Oh, some damage going down. Stock's not going to find the charge, though. 6,000 gold up off Flash Wolves. 2 minutes to go before they can break that record of the largest gold lead in MSI 2018. The tower will not fall. But yeah, just such a difficult situation. The proactive plays, yes, they can work, and yes, I applaud the effort.
Yeah.
But not when you're 6k down, and not when it takes that long to get your teammates to play.
It's tough, though. You know, the execution definitely wasn't there, but when you are this far behind, when you are progressively getting more and more behind, you need to make a risky play because the game is already kind of getting out of hand. They do try to go for it there, but, you know, the coordination a bit off. You know, Stark kind of needed probably to be the one to start that up, but when you're TPing not behind them, but in their face, it's very easy to kind of retreat to this warded area in the river, this big pocket of safety that they had, and Flash Wolves is honestly just kind of checking all the boxes and playing a very well-coordinated game. They know where they could be weak, they know where they could be vulnerable, and they play around it.
Hey, Trevor, you asked, could Flash Wolves match the early game? Could they get the vision down to spot where Evos would be roaming? The answer was yes, they could.
Resoundingly.
Yeah, they have full control of this game here. Of course, there's been some mistakes they've been able to punish, but they're also setting it up correctly. And the only thing I'm kind of looking at is it can Stark get together with his team and use ulti while there's still some flashes on cooldown from some of the squishy members on the side of Flash Wolves. if he can't do that and he's just sitting side lane for the next few minutes, it gets almost impossible for them to actually start a fight because you can just flash away from the Ornn. And then Flash Wolves will just have way more damage on their side.
And to your point, I mean, if you can get a pick right at the start of a fight, you have a chance to then win that fight. But it is very, very hard. And, top lane turret is going to go down. They still have the Rift Herald in their back pocket. They can actually drop that to look to pressure, a tier 2. And they are just amassing this enormous lead to the point where even if you do get that one pick, you're not even necessarily more gold on the playing field.
And this, of course, just gives Flash Wolves this margin of error where they can sit back. Even if they pick an over-eager fight, they've just got such a gigantic lead. I mean, Rageblade was just picked up by Slay. Hanabi, I think, got a 13.5-minute Trinity Force. There's already the Haunting guys for Maple. And you can see Maple and Betty. Let's look for the Dark Binding. It's going to connect there onto Ron OP. The Chain of Corruption, rather. That's what
he can't get to him.
And, of course, the wall locks off Slay. He's got no flash available. Ron OP was locked behind the tower.
Exactly. He was so close, but then because of the turret, it would take too long for him to walk around. And Slay's flash still on cooldown for a few more seconds. Maple and Flash will secure another kill. 5-0 Talia. Yijin is to the side, but they're all together.
You can do. I mean, look, Rift Herald on the inner turret in the mid lane. Flash Wolves are going to take their 4th tower of the game, extend the goal lead to 8,000. I think it was 6.5-ish at 15. I get the exact figure. But this is just obliteration.
Yeah, I mean, they're just looking on another level right now than Evos. And, Flash Wolves, it's interesting because there has been more struggles for them kind of in recent years than in the past. They didn't have a great world showing the last 2 years, but they want to show that they are on the tier of North America and Europe and China and these other top regions and top teams. And they're looking to kind of start this tournament off with the statement game that they're not, kind of to be paired with Evos. They're looking so much better.
And this, of course, is the must-win game for them if they want to go and fight for top 4, because you have to take down the other team coming from the play. And it's the same thing will be, the case for Fnatic and Team Liquid. There's going to be some very tough games you're going to play against Kingzone and against RNG, so you have to get wins against some of these teams that might be a little bit under you. Let's see what happens here. Sword Art, Black shields himself and walks out.
Just the playmaking from Sword Art, just really exceptional usage there of the Morgana E. All right, Realm Warp is going to get used. Who's going to step inside? Stark and Yijin looking for some targets. The GP ult is doing work as Stark is forced to run away. So is the rest of the team. The Devour's bought enough time that nobody's died yet.
Hanabi.
But here comes Hanabi looking for the powder kicks. Got 1 and 2. Not going to fight that one. Small mistiming will let it slide as Ron OP gets eaten up. Yet another kill for Maple, 6-0-1.
You hate to see that, but when you're this far ahead,
yeah. Also,
we'll let it go.
To be fair, when you're not, that far into the game, sometimes these barrels can be a little bit slow.
And it's true, you think it's later than it actually is.
And your combo, it doesn't look as great anymore to just line up the 3 and shoot them.
I can confirm for you, by the way, the gold lead for Flash Wolves, 6,234.
Not better.
Not bad. Didn't set a record for other playing gold lead, but still,
that's disappointing.
Pretty impressive, But I want to turn the attention a little bit to Evos, because obviously we praised Flash Wolves a lot. We knew Evos were going to be an interesting team to watch. Definitely a very aggressive one. And we'll get to that story off in a moment, because this play just didn't work out.
Yeah, and honestly, when the Ornn ult doesn't give you much there, I think this next engage is very optimistic. Like, you're not likely going to be able to find a winning fight unless you have a huge Ornn ulti, and they're not going to even have that available. So they look for a play, they try to make something happen, but Betty's staying safe in the back, Maple staying safe in the back, they put out too much damage.
Yeah, and what we're seeing this game is kind of the concern we had, of course, with Evos going into the group stages here. This aggressive playstyle where they try and force a lot of crazy picks around Yijin specifically, and it's a little bit all over the place. It's not always planned out, or there's not a lot of focus on the vision control you place down to make sure that this is the correct play. It's just if it backfires early on, you just fall so far down, and then your team doesn't really bring anything to the table to get back in the game, and that's kind of the problem for them here. If we can wait another 20-30 minutes, sure, Slay can become a huge carry, but there's just no chance Flash Wolves will make it go that far. And it all started with Mujin just walking in, finding Yijin who had lost his flash, and just killed him at the Raptors because, well, he actually was basically killing himself at that point. And then they went bot lane and got 3 kills.
And this is kind of a fun graph for me. This is basically showing combined kills per minute. So essentially how bloody the games are from all the different regions. LPL traditionally talked about as the most bloody region compared to EU, NA, LCK, far on the left. Look at where the VCS is. Almost double the kills per minute of the LCK. This is a very proactive region. As you said, Martin, they're not always, putting out all the kind of pre-steps to that. They're not always preparing all the vision and making sure everything is very clean, but they do have very good mechanics, and they look for these aggressive fights, and when you can pull them off, it looks amazing.
It does indeed. Of course, the reason that graphic I think is very important in terms of this game is you can see the EVOS mentality and their playstyle. Within their region, they're not even one of the highest combined kill per minute teams. They're actually lower ranked. So this is slow by VCS standards. It's not working out as RonOP is going to use that cleanse that we talked so much about earlier. Well, the Impale comes out, and that's the 10th kill for Flash Wolves. And one of the other things I want to step back and look at the big picture here. Both of these teams and leagues and regions originally were born in the GPL. The LMS was removed from the GPL several years ago now. And only recently was Vietnam and the VCS pulled out of the GPL because of how consistently good they were at the game.
Let's see what happens here, Trevor, before we go further, because there might be a fight.
There will be, and it will be Stark trying to get a knockup. He manages to get shut down, or rather he is shut down by Maple. Now Flash Wolves, they were interrupted on the Baron. Mugen is looking for some sort of flank there, trying to get the Crystal Slashes down. Slay's running for his life, still only got that Rage Blade. It looks like he'll be able to escape for the time being.
Yeah, and they have full control over mid lane. They're actually trying to track down Warzone here, who has no ultimate, so he's probably just dead to rights. It's only really a matter of time.
Yeah, who's going to get the kill credit? That is the question. And Betty is the one that secures it.
Again, just nicely done here from Flash Wolves, but you can see kind of the VCS mentality as far as when they fall behind, how do you get back into the game? Is it through playing side lanes? Is it through vision control? Is it through trying to stall and wave flare? No, they are looking for fights.
Yeah.
They are trusting in their mechanics to be able to come out on top, but Flash Wolves is really checking all the boxes to prevent that from happening. Okay, my Flash is down, well, we'll group and push mid.
Yes.
Okay, well, we could be flanked. Well, not anymore because everything is warded, right? And Flash Wolves is really showing kind of the foresight to kind of cover all those vulnerabilities that may be open.
And it's good to see this big difference here in the first game, because I think all of us really want Flash Wolves to be very, very good. In this tournament here, it makes it so exciting then with all the fights for the top 4 spots and who can make it into the playoffs. And this start here, while it is currently against Evos, who's getting absolutely destroyed, it still hypes us up a lot more for what Flash Wolves can do in the next few games. And Evos will have to bounce back later today. And when you're down 112 for kills and 12,000 gold, it's pretty tough.
Well, Evos will be playing Team Liquid later today.
Oh, easy win then.
They don't have a lot of time to bounce back, but this is one of those...
Wildcards.
But hold on, you make a joke there. This is one of those temperature check games where, we said it's a play-in final. How good is Flash Wolves? How good are Evos against one another? Well, we're getting a pretty clear answer. This game snowballed from some early game decisions. What if Evos don't have those mistakes? What if they go a little bit more even, until 15-20? You're going to have a bunch more games to find out the answer. Mugen actually not going to find the target with the Impale yet. Does so after a few moments later, and RonOP, remember, being flashed earlier. He gets taken out.
And that's why it's so important to not read too much into this game. You can't underestimate teams. If they do get ahead, if they have a successful early game, they can snowball a game. They show the ability to do that against Supermassive. So teams are going to have to give them respect. For Evo, so you have to worry about mentality when you're given a beating like this.
Well, let's take a look. Call of the Forge Guard comes out. Baron is in the pit, secured. Not with the smite, though. That got a little messy. Now Slay's coming in, trying to get the damage down. Betty's the target. Slay flashed into the pit, but he's trying to fight 3 and get shut down. Maple was over the wall. Warzone will be the next to fall, and despite it looking momentarily okay, Flash Wolves get Baron, only lose Betty, and they're still 13,000 gold up.
But there were a few openings there at least. The Baron, of course, secured by Betty. Then the fight right after. Slay, if he could have picked up a bunch of kills for himself, could have been something. But Flash Wolves will get the Baron here, and we should be looking at just another big push coming, giving them multiple inhibs, and then they can actually close out the game right after. Let's see the fight once again. Remember, RonOP is dead. So it is 4v5, and Baron just drop down low, but of course no one is in there to actually try and steal it yet.
Credit to Stark, though, actually plays this fight incredibly well. He gets a 3-man Ornal, then gets a 3-man knockup with his Pillar and Charge combo there, opening up a chance for Slay to get something done in that fight. And Slay did get the immediate shutdown onto Betty, but not really having enough damage, enough protection to be able to kind of follow up on that and finish off the rest of the kills. And I think there's a good chance Flash Wolves can just close the game on this Baron. They're so enormously ahead.
Yeah, 13,000 gold, 2 Ocean Drakes, the Baron buff. Look at the item discrepancies between the lanes. For Flash Wolves now, it feels sort of just like a matter of time. And definitely going to give us some more questions to watch, because one thing that is clear, Evos have definitely shown that their commitment to their league's playstyle is true. Yeah. Regardless of winning or losing, every game we've seen from Evos has been like that. And Mujin just going to threaten the Impale engage, right? Inhibitor Terror falls. Inhibitor will be there after. I'm just waiting for that team fight. Oh. There we go. Manages to catch our Warzone. Ron OP nowhere nearby. Uses the Devour just to protect from Chain of Corruption, and Slay on the retreat. 2 members of Evos are down. Flash Wolves now pushing onto the Nexus turret. Call the Forge God. Yes, it catches Maple, but to what end? Now Slay managing to get some damage down thanks to that Bioarcane Barrage, but he's got too many hit points to burn through. Betty steps forward to the Black Shield, and this is just feeling donezo. Flash Wolves have got 1 Nexus turret left. The Baron empowered minions, excuse me.
Come on, Slay, give me that pentakill.
It's going to be magnificent if it does, but I'm not quite a believer, Deficio.
Oh, because they actually chased for the kills right there, wanted to better KDAs. They did not manage to finish the last turret. All the minions died around them. I think they're going to be okay with it, despite only getting that 1 bot lane inhib. Can just walk down, spend the gold, and then get ready for next one. Betty, the only one who did not recall.
Having a little bit of fun, I think, with it at the end. I mean, they could have closed out the game pretty easily there, but as you say, going for a bit more kills, a little bit more action, and they are so ridiculously fed. 15,000 gold ahead. I mean, this is just the items. When you're looking across and you're comparing, it's disgusting. You look at GP in the top lane; he has 3 completed items to 1. Right? That feels pretty rough.
That feels pretty bad, man. Is how that feels. Yijin going to be jumped on by Mujin. There's no Impale yet, but Mujin could consider chasing with that Righteous Glory. Decides against it for now. Instead, that's because Warzone
is in the wrong neighborhood.
To push.
We've seen this on before.
Yeah, how does it end?
He dies.
Okay.
And Betty gets the kill. No, Betty didn't get the kill.
You haven't seen that one before.
It's true, it's true. I saw the one with Betty. I like that one more.
My math is a little awkward. This is pretty close to 0.8 combined kills per minute. Is that right? So, by VCS standards, Evos going to find themselves some damage onto Hanabi, but he's going to survive thanks to all of the itemization. The huge lead he's been able to accrue for himself. Slay gets dropped down to 50%. Here comes Mujin. He's already used that Righteous Glory. Ron OP forced to use the cleanse, get caught by Dark Binding. And despite the grey health, will get killed by Maple. 11-0-4. If we had MSI Fantasy, he would be killing it right now.
Yeah, well, definitely making some more fans for himself, showing again how good Maple really is. Completely dominating this game.
Yeah, not fans of the VCS though, but no. The rest of the world will definitely be pretty impressed. That's a Flash Chain of Corruption. The final push should be on the cards. Impale comes out. Warzone just respawned, man. And he's taken down for the 6th time. After 27 minutes and 22 kills, Flash Wolves obliterate Evos Esports.
Very one-sided game. All started around the Raptor camp, fun enough. That's where he lost the first flash on the side of Yijin. That's where he died. And of course, then we saw the good roams from Maple. And it's good to see, of course, with Maple, a man who did struggle last year. He's been playing really well this year in the LMS. And then the first game he gets to play here in the group stages, he just absolutely destroys everyone. Great draft, great execution.
Yeah, I mean, Maple was everywhere, down to the bottom lane for the early kills there. He's the one who forces the Juggler's Flash, then up to the top side, getting a kill on Stark. He was pressuring the map incredibly well while staying even or ahead oftentimes in his lane, and I definitely think this is a one to feel good about for Flash Wolves.
It absolutely is, and on the other end, I'm disappointed in Evos.
Of course.
You see the guys play all the way through the bracket stage where they took out Supermassive, and those were some messy games. But there's a little bit more heads up, a little bit more control to it. And I think for Evos to succeed in the next 9 games that they have, they need to temper some of that decision making.
Well, or they need to draft like extremely aggressive.
Yeah.
So that they have a lot of lanes that are winning, that can get 2v2 kills, that can set up something for Yijin. Because this one was a tank top and then a very slow scaling bot lane on their side. So it kind of looked like, okay, you could maybe go for the GP, but it was never going to be an easy tower dive, and they only succeeded once with it. And they first picked this Kha'Zix pick that then ends up being really useless in the game. So I think they can make some changes if they want to try and go in and play super fast and super aggressive. I think there's too much scaling then suddenly. Not that I'm blaming the draft for losing this.
No, I know it's just one of those ideas. Right?
It's just
one of those
pure execution.
Just on screen a moment or two ago, Sword Art exceptionally happy after that game, and why not? Flash Wolves took it. When we return, Sharks will actually check in with Sword Art before we look closer at how Team Liquid can beat Kingzone, if they can. We'll see you in 3.5.
That actually completely dismantled the early game.
And you can see how Yichin's under pressure. Whoa! What was that?
No.
Almost ready. I thought he was going to use it, but now bot lane.
Well, take a look for the Crystal Slashes. Manages to get a two-man stun. Devour comes out by Ron OP, but it simply does not matter. Seismic shove! Looking for Betty and Sword Art. Slay's coming in with the help of a teleport by Stop. Now, Maple is in the river already, and that's just gone horribly wrong. Well, let's take a look. Call of the Forge Guard comes out. Baron is in the pit, secured. Not with the smite, though. That got a little messy. Now Slay's coming in, trying to get the damage down. Betty's the target. Slay flashed into the pit, but he's trying to fight three and gets shut down. To 27 minutes and 22 kills. Flash Wolves obliterate Evos Esports.
Predator, proud partner and official monitor provider.